creating a virus. We don't know about that. But that's at the extreme. When we look at impact, we have the more mundane. The more mundane is what happens to programmers when everyone becomes a programmer, just like photographers. Now you can take amazing pictures with your thing. What happens when Google's MedPalm 2 model now can outperform doctors in medical diagnosis, but also empathy, according to the latest paper in Nature? This is a fundamental reworking of information flows that's going to be massively disruptive and deflationary, even with what we have now, with no more advances as it becomes enterprise ready. And we have a continuum from that disruption to the productivity enhances to potential existential threat if we keep doing the models as we do now, which is we're not exactly sure how they work or their capabilities, but we keep building anyway.
Now I want to get very specific about what the level of disruption is going to be. So
world. But in your own life, can you name a single Bill Gates fan? In fact, do you know anyone who likes this man at all? I mean, back in the 80s, 90s, and early 2000s, Bill was genuinely liked. He was the Elon Musk of the 90s. However, somewhere, somehow, this all changed, and the cracks in his image are now starting to show. Because the more you start to follow the money of Bill Gates, do you start to understand why he's one of the most hated men alive. Whether it be for the fact that a billionaire alone has the World Health Organization under his personal control, or if it's the fact that he's the biggest landowner in the US, or his very suspicious close connections to Mr. J.E., with J.E. giving Bill Gates marital advice and Melinda Gates becoming disgusted by Bill Gates' behavior. Not to mention all the countless other reasons, because trust me, this is only scratching the surface. So then who is the real Bill Gates, and how did he become so hated? What was it that changed his public perception? Well, to understand why people are turning on Bill Gates, we need to start with how he even gained his vast power in the first place. William Henry Gates
This has always blown my mind a little bit. 53% of you that listen to this show regularly haven't yet subscribed to this show. So could I ask you for a favor before we start? If you like the show and you like what we do here and you want to support us, the free, simple way that you can do just that is by hitting the subscribe button. And my commitment to you is if you do that, then I'll do everything in my power, me and my team, to make sure that this show is better for you every single week. We'll listen to your feedback, we'll find the guests that you want me to speak to, and we'll continue to do what we do. Thank you so much. Well, from a very high-level perspective, and I'm being unspecific here, so I'm looking for an unspecific answer. What exactly is the mission that you're on in this season of your life? Like, what are you doing and who are you doing it for?
So obviously you do it for yourself, but really I think that I've been armed with tools and
SAM, which include wire fraud on both lenders and customers, conspiracy to commit wire fraud on both groups, conspiracy to commit both commodities and securities fraud, as well as conspiracy to commit money laundering. He faces a maximum 115-year sentence if convicted. The Department of Justice indictment alleges that Sam also broke campaign finance laws by making contributions to candidates and committees that exceeded federal limits. And we'll cover that point near the end of the video. Now, while the SEC can only issue civil charges, they are accusing Sam Bankman-Fried of orchestrating a multi-billion-dollar fraud that began the day he launched his exchange and continued at his personal direction until its collapse last.
20% off and free international shipping when you use promo code SOG at checkout. That's 20% off plus free shipping with promo code SOG. Your balls will thank you. Hello, guys and gals, me Mutahar, and boy oh boy, Elon Musk is in some good old trouble. And you know what, ladies and gentlemen, so is the crypto market. Now, of course, as some of you all may have realized, in the last few days, cryptocurrencies in the last few weeks have actually had a pretty rough time. Bitcoin, as of 6 months of its history, has actually seen a 57% drop. In fact, this is reflective of most cryptocurrencies across the board. Hey, a couple of weeks back, we looked at one of the largest crypto crashes, where we looked at USD Terra absolutely cratering to a good old 99% loss, meaning that anybody that put their life savings into that is bankrupt and on the streets, all right? That's a bad idea right there. Now, of course, there is a good silver
drug traffickers who had hundreds of millions of dollars. I'm doing this interview in silhouette because two agencies and an intelligence agency informed me that the Medellin cartel issued a contract on my life. I spent a year and a half putting together what I think is one of the more sophisticated fronts used in undercover. I built the persona of Robert Musella. I dressed the part, certainly had the lifestyle, drove a Rolls-Royce, Mercedes, Jaguar. I was embedded in real businesses. Had an air charter service with a private jet. We had a jewelry chain with 30 locations on the East Coast. A lot of cash goes through the Diamond District every single day. So if you've got those kinds of businesses, you have a very good excuse for where the cash came from. I was embedded in an investment company, a mortgage brokerage business, and even a brokerage firm with a seat on the New York Stock Exchange. And then I and my partner began a 2-year
Small Business Administration's Paycheck Protection Program, almost $400 billion was given out in 2 weeks.
$3.6 billion shouldn't have gone out right away. Not saying every one of those would have been denied, but at a minimum, there should have been secondary screening.
Democrats emphasizing the legitimate need for the money.
Yes, no program is perfect, but it really did keep afloat the American economy and made sure that we didn't fall into a deep, deep recession.
California Congressman Jimmy Gomez also accusing Republicans of trying to rewrite history after supporting trillions in COVID relief during the Trump administration. But there is bipartisan concern about it being stolen.
So it's a huge range.
Fox Business's Grady Trimble.
The number that they've kind of been pointing us to at this point is $191 billion in unemployment insurance fraud, 158
suppression. So I'm Paul Bigger, and I'm the founder of Tech for Palestine. Tech for Palestine is an incubator for Palestine advocacy. So that means that we're trying to start thousands, maybe tens of thousands of initiatives, whether those are nonprofits, startups, or simply groups of people to advocate for Palestinian liberation. You can find out more about our work, how to use our tools, and to volunteer for our projects or donate to support our work at techforpalestine.org. So today we are here, super excited to have the first guest in our series. It's Hassam Nazar from No Azure for Apartheid. So Hassam.
%, not even 5%, right, of the total market cap for the entire industry. So, I mean, last cycle, the popular bet and trade was the layer ones. So I think this cycle, the popular, coins are going to be the memes to a much greater scale. So just like, the layer ones became a very overcrowded trade, and there's just like, they got diluted, and, there's just like a million layer ones that launched. It's going to be the same thing with meme coins. But the cool thing about anything, right, layer ones or meme coins or AI, like majority of the money flows into the top winners, right? There's a stat that I like to always point out in meme coins, which is the top 5 meme coins make up for greater than 80% of that $59 billion market cap, right? So you take the top 5 memes.
Look at how much has happened in the last month. And the big problem is that we share one atmosphere. All of humanity's eggs are in one basket.
So what needs to happen to get me a future?
So I think Elon is 100% right. You got to get to another sphere. But he's being a complete when it comes to science, and he's being a total hero when it comes to engineering. But you can't engineer your way to the stars with the science we have. But physics opens the universe to. But we have a real problem. A new idea in physics changes the balance of power in the world. The desire of our government is to get the science to give us as much power as possible. But then they castrate the scientists, belittle them, destroy their families, their lives, their ability to earn, because our government isn't good enough to keep its own secrets. My employer was a special informant to the FBI. There's a doctrine that says physicists don't have free speech. They're stopping the world's most important group from making progress. Physics is the only thing that's going to get your future.